Are you having a hard time making ends meet? Well, you're not alone. Australia is one of the richest countries in the world, but average families can't earn enough to pay the bills. So, what gives? Since 2015, average wages have been growing just 2% per year, the slowest since the 1930s. That barely keeps up with average prices, and it's certainly not enough to pay for housing, energy, and other rising costs of living. Now, Australian workers produce more each year. Productivity and efficiency are up almost 30% since the turn of the century. But compared to inflation, real wages are going nowhere. It's a very different story for profits, though. Less paid out in wages means more money kept in profits. In fact, over the last 3 years, adjusted for population and inflation, profits grew 16%, wages grew by way less than 1%. This means profits are growing 45 times faster than wages. Why is workers' slice of the economic pie getting smaller and smaller, even as the pie itself gets bigger and bigger? Well, in a nutshell, the rules are broken. Australia used to be pretty good at sharing prosperity. When the economy grew, wages went up in step, and that wasn't an accident. We made sure it worked that way, with strong minimum wages, a living wage in fact, that paid enough to actually live on. We had an awards system that lifted wages for all workers every year, and we had strong unions and collective bargaining. But a few decades ago, things changed. The minimum wage was eroded, the awards system was rolled back, now it applies only to the lowest wage workers. Worst of all, collective bargaining and unions came under sustained attack. Unions can't get into workplaces, there are many barriers to industrial action, and under the current system, called enterprise bargaining, workers are prohibited from negotiating with more than one company at a time. That's a really big problem, and here's why. Nowadays, most people work in small workplaces. Jobs have been outsourced, casualized, converted into gigs. In this kind of economy, the new economy, most workers can't bargain higher wages one workplace at a time. Let's say there's a childcare center called Little Bandicoots. Their educators negotiate higher wages, but just down the road, there's another childcare center called Little Emus. They keep paying their educators the absolute minimum. Well, Little Emus now has lower costs and can undercut Little Bandicoots. This means Bandicoots could go right out of business and their educators would lose their jobs. So it's clear the rules are broken, but how do we fix them? Well, it's time to change the rules. We work in a new economy with new technology, new business models, new forms of competition. So we need new rules. One rule we need is to let workers in unions negotiate with several companies at the same time, or even right across a whole sector. This is totally legal and it works in many countries, like Germany, Sweden, France, Japan, Korea, even America, but it's banned in Australia. When workers negotiate the same contract with several companies, it creates a level playing field. All the bosses in a sector negotiate with workers at the same table, and workers can get a share of the wealth they create. Companies still compete, but now it's on quality and efficiency, instead of who can screw their workers the most. We live in a new economy, and we need new rules, but the rules won't change by themselves. So, join the campaign, make your voice heard, share this video, and join your union.